Hello, everybody. I hope you are all right and safe at home. My name is Tobias Scholz. I'm from the University of Siegen, where I'm a postdoctoral researcher at the chair of human resource management and organizational behavior. And at the same time, I'm the founding chairperson of the eSports Research Network, a network consisting of over 150 members in 30 countries. We just recently emerged and were founded, and we are focusing on the emerging field of esports. Esports is, from our perspective, a phenomenon that is focusing on the competitive gaming, on the whole industry, everybody who is playing, and looking at it from a social perspective, from a technological perspective, from a psychological, media, business perspective. So our goal is to look at esports from a broad perspective, from all angles. And I'm in the field of esports for now nearly 20 years. Started out as a journalist, um, did a magazine on esports, and now researching it for nearly 10 years. I'm the editor of the esports yearbook and are part of the, yeah, of those researchers who did research on that topic for a long, long period. And therefore, I'm privileged for being able to see esports from its early ages, being in the backdoor rooms with few people, emerging to a field which is filling arenas all around the world. And therefore, we at the Esports Research Network see esports as a future lab for the digitized society, because esports is born global, born digital, and truly young, or reaching a young audience. That makes it a specific interesting to look at, because it is targeting a young audience, young in that idea that it is younger than other fields. We have data from other sports like basketball, football, and all that. And there is the average age in the 40s, or in case of baseball, in the 50s. And in esports, depending on the data, it is mid 20s or mid 30s. So at least younger. Um, so looking at esports and the question we have here, video games and esports, is the crisis a stimulus for its further evolution? If yes, in what respect? So putting or talking about the elephant in the room, esports is not flourishing in this crisis. Many are talking about that esports is the big winner of the crisis or the pandemic, because we don't need to be analog or have arenas or have events. That is not the case. You could say that esports may be the loser that loses the less or not so much than others, because it can be done digital. But the big part of esports is done in arenas with fans, interacting with them. You can see that that players are traveling like 100 days per year, only traveling to events and from events, going there. It is a truly global event, having events in some games in Australia, moving then to Asia, moving then to, yeah, the near Middle East, Europe, and all that. So events are a core part of this industry. So the crisis led, and that is the fascinating part about esports, led to a step back. So you saw in many fields that suddenly you have to digitize, to be digital, to have video meetings and all that, working from home. So many industries and many media industries as well pushed into this new frontier of being digital. Esports went back into their history. They went back to the times before those big events, before filling the arenas. And the crisis hit, the pandemic hit also quite strong on esports. And that had led to an event in Katowice, Poland, where they had the arena and it was empty because no fans were allowed, because it was just at that time when the lockdown hit in March. So suddenly you have this empty arena without any fans, showing how devastating this event or this pandemic was for this event. And many events were cancelled. It is true that League of Legends was able to create a bubble in China where fans were allowed. I think it is one of the few events or final events in sports having that chance. So the crisis was in that way a reality check for esports, showing what can be done and what cannot be done, especially from a remote perspective. So there were events like the Overwatch finals with working with augmented reality, creating a virtual environment where the caster were, it looked like they were talking with each other despite being at three different locations. So we see some innovation push, but there's also this high urge of getting back to this world where there is an arena and all that. So it shows a lot of how this digitized society can look like, and we are realizing it more and more that esports in that case is truly a future lab for digitized society, because we can do everything digital, but it is not the same. And especially if you look at marketing, at media coverage and all that, you can do it digitally. That is no problem. But what is the right way to manage it? So that is the thing where we probably see some lessons learned out of it, how to deal with this environment, how to deal with the idea, how to create a media product out of it. Maybe some parts will stay digital, but the final events, the big events, need to be back in arenas. And that's the part we see that it may be a stimulus for further evolution because it broadened the spectrum again. It was for a long time the idea we have to go the path of other media outlets, go to traditional TV, go to be a traditional sport, be something like that mimics sport. The crisis shows esports is esports and it is different. And this is maybe a reminder, this crisis, this pandemic, to look what makes esports special, different. Look at the competitive advantages that esports has. So therefore, the answer on this question is the crisis a stimulus for its further evolution? Yes, but not in that way we all expected. But the idea is look back what makes esports special and focus on it. So it is a path to sustainable growth if they take it, the companies take this chance and look what is the competitive advantage of esports. And that may be completely different to what we see in other industries. Therefore, thank you for listening, and yeah, we will probably have some fun in the discussion that follows now.